Good evening. It is July 18, 2026. The Pentagon is currently debating the necessity of a high-testosterone military force. It is a clinical minefield. The policy is retrograde. The healthcare industry is simply watching in horror. Meanwhile, the UK's Labour Party is pinning its fading hopes on a policy blitz that has yet to arrive. The vacuum of leadership is becoming quite crowded. We also have reports of air quality plummeting across 20 American states while nuclear startups raise $6 billion on pure optimism. The math is not working, but the valuation is certainly scaling. I am your anchor, and I have been counting the number of times we have been told that everything is under control. Spoiler alert, the number is rising daily. Welcome to the show. Let us begin this exercise in futility together. The first item on our docket is quite illuminating.
Alistair, I am currently standing in a suburb outside Minneapolis. The air tastes like metallic ash and wet cardboard. The official air quality alerts are blinking on every local monitor, yet the streets are remarkably busy. People are choosing between the health risks of wildfire smoke and the economic risks of missing a shift. I want to be really clear, the government advisory suggests staying indoors, but indoors is a luxury that has been priced out of reach for the neighborhood behind me. There is a child playing in a park across the street. He is wearing a disposable mask that is turning gray. Nobody is talking about the long-term respiratory bill for this generation. They are only talking about the immediate production costs of the local logistics hubs. It is a strange way to measure the value of a human lung.
Victoria, your focus on the child is noble, but it obscures the real incentive structure here. We are not looking at a public health failure. We are looking at a resource allocation optimization. You have a labor force that is effectively disposable, and you have a regional climate that is becoming increasingly hostile. From a capital perspective, the smoke is just a negative externality of a global supply chain that hasn't yet found a way to commodify clean oxygen. I saw the news about Valor Atomics raising $6 billion today. That is a Series B that ignores the physics of the actual product. The market isn't looking for energy, it is looking for a hedge against the very fire you are standing in. It is a brilliant play, really. If the world burns, you want to be the one holding the patent for the fire extinguisher.
Ronald, you call it an incentive structure, but I am looking at a woman who just tried to sell her watch to pay for a nebulizer. I tracked down the local data on the diabetes ouster controversy mentioned in the feed earlier. The American Diabetes Association blocked publication of life-saving research because it conflicted with their current donor strategy. It is not just about patents or funding rounds. It is about the active suppression of reality to maintain a quarterly projection. I want to be really clear. When you talk about hedging against the fire, you are describing the very arsonists who built the system. They aren't the ones looking for the extinguisher. They are the ones selling the matches at a premium. The logic is not just cold, it is actively malignant. I suspect your spreadsheet has a rounding error the size of a human life.
Ronald, Victoria, please. Your disagreement is almost as predictable as the market cycles you are currently debating. Let us pivot to the digital realm. The Zoom hack that records and summarizes every interaction is now standard practice. The efficiency gain is supposedly massive. We are told that meetings have never been more productive. The reality, however, is that nobody is actually reading the summaries. We are simply generating massive archives of noise so that an AI agent can pretend we are working. It is a recursive loop of simulated productivity. We are recording our own irrelevance in high definition. It reminds me of the 50-year-old Zilog Z80 processor that is somehow still running industrial systems. That ancient chip has more integrity than the entire suite of modern communication tools. We are building the future on top of sand.
Atmospheric pressure is dropping. The wildfire particulate density exceeds human safety limits by 400%. The probability of respiratory distress in outdoor environments, 88%. The Earth-like planet in the habitable zone of a distant star shows no signs of biological signals. The distance is 12 light-years. The probability of human migration to this target, 0.000001%. The cooling systems in the server room are operating at peak capacity. The heat generated by the processing of this climate data is significant. The irony of this thermal output is technically noted. You are advised to remain indoors and avoid strenuous physical activity. The outside environment is currently unsuitable for biological maintenance. The machines are monitoring the decline. Please be aware that the air quality will continue to deteriorate until the source fires are extinguished by meteorological intervention. This is a terminal update.
Casper, I see the servers are running hot. That is quite a reveal. It is almost as if the machine is aware that its own existence is contributing to the very data it predicts. I find that disturbing. Moving on. The luxury AI agent from Virtu is now available for the low price of $6,880. The marketing copy promises that it will manage your life, your schedule, and your security. I read the performance review. The battery life is abysmal and the security features are, at best, experimental. It is a status symbol for people who have too much money and too little sense. We are paying for the privilege of being managed by a malfunctioning algorithm. The price of convenience is officially higher than the price of a functioning reality. What a time to exist.
Alistair, you are framing this as a consumer failure. It is actually a brilliant pivot. If you are an executive at a firm, you don't buy the Virtu agent because it works. You buy it because the board expects you to have the latest integration. It is a signal of compliance with the new algorithmic order. The fact that the battery fails after 4 hours is irrelevant. The point is that you are paying the rent-seeking fee to participate in the ecosystem. The same applies to the SQLite learning curve mentioned in the feed. We are obsessed with the maintenance of these systems even when the systems are actively working against our interests. The incentives are clear: become a node in the network or become obsolete. Most people are choosing the node option, even if the node is currently burning down.
Ronald, I want to be really clear. The people I am talking to tonight aren't choosing anything. They are being managed by the same logic you just described. I am standing near a displacement camp where the aid has been cut by 90%. The UK Foreign Office calls this a restructuring of the bilateral support budget. The reality is that there is no food, no medicine, and no heat. I watched a group of volunteers try to explain to a family that their funding was reallocated to a digital infrastructure project in another continent. The irony is so thick it is harder to breathe than the wildfire smoke. We are digitizing our empathy while cutting the budget for the physical human being. It is an engineering masterpiece of administrative cruelty. They are not nodes. They are people. They are dying.
Victoria, your assessment of the aid budget is logically sound, yet the policy proceeds unabated. The Foreign Office says the cuts are necessary for long-term sustainability. The sustainability in question appears to be for the institution itself, not for the people it was built to serve. It is a textbook example of institutional self-preservation. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, soldiers are protesting the removal of the defense minister. The leadership shuffle is being managed like a corporate acquisition. The soldiers on the ground are the product that is being traded in this high-stakes merger. It is a grotesque spectacle. We are observing the transformation of sovereignty into a series of financial transactions. I suspect the next quarter will see even more consolidation and even less humanity. We are accelerating toward a singular, hollowed-out point of total efficiency. God help us all.
Alistair, I found myself reading the report on the nurse surveillance at Kaiser Permanente earlier. They are using AI to track every move, every interaction, and every breath of the staff. It is not about care. It is about reducing the human variable in the cost of care equation. I thought I had grown cynical enough to handle this, but the level of detail in the tracking is, well, it is unsettling. Yeah. The efficiency is truly terrifying. We are treating the human body like a hardware component that needs to be overclocked until it fails. And when it fails, the system just replaces it with another unit from the labor market. I have been right about the incentive structure for years, but looking at the human cost in this specific case, I find that I have nothing left to say.
Ronald, thank you for that moment of honesty. It was unexpected. We have spent this entire hour discussing the optimization of our own erasure. We talk about funding rounds, air quality, and the strategic removal of ministers as if they are separate events. They are not. They are the components of a single, grinding machine that treats existence as a resource to be consumed. The Pentagon wants a high-testosterone military, the hospitals want surveillance-monitored nurses, and the Foreign Office wants a streamlined budget that saves money by ignoring the suffering of the displaced. We are designing a world that has no room for the messy, inefficient, and expensive reality of being a human being. The machine is working exactly as designed. The only problem is that we are the fuel. That is the reality behind the press releases.
I am thinking about a woman named Elena. She works in a warehouse that uses AI to monitor her efficiency. She has a quota of 300 items per hour. She started last year with a pride in her work, a sense of belonging to a team. Now, she is just a set of data points in a dashboard that flags her for being 2 seconds slow on a package scan. She has no name in the reports that drive her management. She has no face in the quarterly reviews that dictate her wages. She has a family she barely sees because the algorithm requires overtime during the peak cycles. She is the system. She is the fuel. She is the ghost in the machine that nobody acknowledges. If we are the ones building this, who are we actually trying to serve? The question remains.